Hello, welcome to class today. I'm still sick, so if I sound terrible, I'm sorry. So today it looks like I'm having some problems with my computer too, which is fantastic. So I can't screen share, unfortunately, because I made a pretty cool, well, I think it's pretty cool presentation for today's class, but I did take pictures, and so I will be able to show you some of the things that I did. Well, it looks like I'm alone for now. Maybe someone will join later, maybe not. That's okay. So today, I want to discuss climate change. We all know that this is happening. Most of us know that this is happening. And so I want to talk about some of what's happening and some of the effects. So let me get up my phone here very quickly. Okay. So the first one I want to talk about is global temperatures. I'm hoping you can see this. It says the Earth's temperatures have risen 2 degrees Fahrenheit. Looks like you can't read it very well. I can barely read it. Or 1.1 degrees Celsius. Hey, Ken. Thanks for joining. I'm having technical difficulties today, so we're doing what we can.
Hello.
Hi, Ken. Can you hear me okay?
It's a bit broken today.
Oh, no. Okay, well, I had a feeling. My computer is not working today very well, so let me disappear for a moment.
Okay, sure.
I am recording already, so if you want to say something about what your opinion is about climate change, and then tell me when I come back, it won't take very long. One second.
Okay.
Hi?
Yes, it's clear.
How is it now? It's okay?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, good.
How about my voice? Is it okay?
Yep, you sound great today.
Okay.
If you can't tell, I'm still sick. And as I discussed, I just said that I'm having computer problems. Nothing seems to be working on my computer today. So, yes. So, I'm going to use my phone, and we're going to discuss some of the things that I've prepared. I did do a pretty cool, well, a cooler presentation than normal, and then come to class and it doesn't work. So I can't screen share or everything freezes. So I don't think I want to try that. But so I'm going to hold up the picture that I have. Again, it's kind of hard for you to read, I think, because it's a picture. But we're going to try again. So I had read the global temperatures. The Earth's temperatures have risen 2 degrees Fahrenheit or 1.1 degrees Celsius since the 19th century. The causes are carbon dioxide and man-made emissions. With that, let's talk about the man-made emissions. What kind of things are we making or creating that is bad?
CO2 is the most, troublesome thing for global warming, I think.
Yeah, carbon dioxide. So where does that come from, apart from us breathing, or exhaling, I should say? Where else could that come from?
Also, I don't know, probably fossil fuels, burning fossil fuels, creating a lot of about that, like coal, or, kerosene or gas or such things.
Yeah, absolutely. I know there's a lot of things, just driving. That's why they say, hey, carpool, good vocabulary word today. Carpool means that you share the same car and go to work. For example, me and someone else work at the same place. I pick them up one week and we go to work in my car, and vice versa the next week. They pick me up and we go to work together. So that's one way that you can help save. I shouldn't say save, but one way that we can reduce these emissions, from gas. Also, using public transportation. I've heard that airplanes actually have are a big contributor to this. So that's unfortunate because planes are kind of important for people like myself who live in a different continent than where they were born. So what do we think? Are there different ways that we can work on this, or how can we solve this?
In terms of cars, some shopping mall offer the car parking lot for commuters. If we buy the kind of how can I say ticket, the prepaid ticket for that shopping mall, they offer the parking lot for you know 1 month or so. Such contract also available my close shopping mall.
Okay, interesting. Also, electric cars are starting to come out, which is good. I know we had the hybrid cars, which was kind of the starting point, and I think it was a really great starting point because, maybe just in case you run out of electricity or something, at least you have a second plan if you're driving long distances or something like that. So I think it's a really good idea. And I think electric cars are just going to become more popular in the future. I think it's kind of like the next step. So what do you think about that? Have you heard anything?
I actually, the nuclear power plant accident happened. After that, a lot of things was said, and also I checked, so I realized such kind of thing more than ever. And using electrics, it's useful, but some people claim, but electricity, came from nuclear power plants. Also, it's also dangerous. Also, if the accident happens or nuclear waste is just accumulated world without knowing how to process. So it remain a long, maybe how can I say, 10,000 or 2,000 years. That's one problem. But also, a lot of electric power plants rely on the fossil fuel. So
Fuels.
fuel. So it's also releasing CO2. However, uh, even if the fossil fuel is used, maybe efficiency to use the energy is electricity is more efficient than just burning fuel carbon and fossil fuels. So in such sense, maybe using electricity also in the future, a battery, would be developed. So maybe full solar battery car or something like that would be available in the future.
Well, I think we're going to continue looking for renewable. I think we should, at least if, we're not already, is focus on the renewable resources that we have with the wind and the sun. I know down here in the south of Spain, we have a lot of, what are they called? They're windmills, but they're white and, it's for solar wind energy. That's it. So, and lots of solar panels as well. I know it's something that here in the south, we have a lot of sun compared to the north of Spain. And so we are taking advantage of that as well. The only problem is that here in Spain, they tax everything a lot. So that's quite unfortunate. What about, these windmills and solar panels in Japan?
Actually, after that, right after the people vitally, also discuss what companies try to doing so, but now it's decreasing because people forget about that or trying to forget about that because it's still dangerous. But if we care about such dangerous, maybe we are worried about every day. So and however, maybe it is developing more than ever. Also, solar panel has maybe Thomas mentioned before. Solar panel has also might cause pollution in the world, but in terms of but it kind of technology itself, it can be developed. Also, wind power, my university developing wind lanes. It's called wind lanes. So it's not like a big fan. It's a small fan, but lens kind of part boost up the power of wind. So it can be built on the ocean, floating on the ocean. So because Japan has a lot of ocean area, there's not so many large plain land. So also ocean is usually windy. So maybe such kind of plan maybe will be developed in the future, I hope.
Okay. Well, I definitely, agree with you. There's other options that we can look for. Kind of back to the negative part of the class today is the next one. We're going to talk about ice sheets. Okay. They are melting or getting smaller in Greenland, for example, and in Antarctica. And here we have, within 4 years, it looks like 36 to 60 cubic miles melted from Greenland, and in Antarctica, in 3 years, 36 cubic miles. So, this is huge. If you really think about it, it's massive. And what are we? It's just people complain about it being colder, it being hotter. Well, this is one of those things that's telling us that our globe, our world is getting warmer. So what happens when these things melt? I mean, there's where the animals live, like the polar bears and the penguins, things like that. All of these animals that we have, they're going to go extinct. And that will affect, all of everything. What about the whales and then the sharks and sea lions and walruses and all of these cold living animals, when they live in cold habitats. So that's, one thing that it's going to affect, but also because of that, the sea levels will rise. I don't think I've added that in here, no. No. I don't. But that is another problem, is that the sea level is rising. Well, what happens to those cities that are below sea level? Eventually,
Right.
you either have to have a huge wall and no beach, or you're going under. Like it's scary, crazy. So, there's lots of terrible things that could happen. Questions, comments about that?
Yeah, that's also the serious problem. Actually, the Maldives, the island small country, I think Maldives is sinking actually because it's an island country. It's surrounded by ocean, so there's not so many land. But because of the sea level rising, actually country itself is disappearing. Also, I've heard the most world big main cities is coastal area. It also it would be disappeared in the future. So kind of it's very difficult to solve the problem because it's not just the energy thing. Also, once maybe ice melted, also global warming happened. It's called green gas effect. So maybe I think it's not easy to return to cool down. So I need to check about it more than yeah, about it more.
Exactly. That's the other problem, is what happens when the world gets so hot. I remember this past summer, plastic objects were melting in Arizona. What happens? Isn't
Sorry.
that crazy? Did you hear about that?
What happened?
Like trash cans, wheels on cars were melting because it was so hot.
Arizona. Okay, the desert area. Wow,
Exactly.
that's
So what happens? And that's not even,
I,
it's one of the hottest parts of the United States, but
maybe if it is become more intense, maybe human cannot live in such high temperature.
exactly.
Ah,
And the
wow.
problem is that there's a lot of older people who retire in Arizona because it's nice weather, it's warm all year round. So what happens to them? For older people, it's when it's extremely cold or extremely hot, it's very difficult for them to live, you know, to
I
do
th-
things.
I think protein danger until 70 Celsius, but melting such kind of metal could be higher than 70 Celsius.
Really?
So it's dangerous. Yeah.
Well, I knew it was over 50 degrees Celsius there. Um,
Mhm.
I think in Fahrenheit it was over 140 or something like that. That's just
Mm.
ridiculous.
Mm.
So I mean, things like that, that's part of this. And what do you do? I mean, how do you stop something from getting warmer when you don't have something big enough to control it?
Mm.
I mean, I don't think there really is an answer, but it's just what do you
Right.
do when everything's getting warmer? Because
Actually,
Mhm.
still we don't have such cutting edge technology to solve this problem, but it also have to be invented.
Mhm.
At the same time, maybe we need to rethink our lifestyle because current lifestyle is pretty much on mass consumption, based on mass consumption.
It is.
So,
Well, it's not just the land,
mhm,
but it's also the oceans. The oceans are getting warmer, and ever since 1969, the top meters, or the top part of the ocean, for example, the first 700 meters or 2,300 feet, have increased in temperature from 0.302 degrees Fahrenheit.
mm,
So not a lot. But again,
mm,
what do you do with this? I mean, how do you stop this from getting warmer? You can't.
right.
I mean,
Maybe,
if we take
yeah.
machines and we take the water from down below, from 700 meters or 1,000 meters
Mhm.
below, and kind of mix it with the top part, sure. But how do you find something so big, something that's able to do that? I mean, we're talking about something so simple, about mixing water, colder and warmer water together to kind of cool the top layers. But it's incredibly huge.
Right.
It's massive. And
Mm,
so I think it's going to be relatively impossible to do this.
mhm. Exactly. So maybe human, think about ourselves or our generation, but not doesn't don't think about future
Well, I
or
think
future
it's
generation so much.
no, you're right. I think it's happening. I think it's starting.
Ah,
And so people
yeah.
are getting are worried about what's going to happen in the future. Now you think about your children's children. Um, so like 2 or 3 generations down the line, where's the world going to be?
Also, another point mentioned after the nuclear power plant accidents, electric company was the used to be a biggest sponsor of mass media. So, mass media before the accident happens, mass media not so vital to talk about such risk or or even after that, mass media relatively maybe kind of somewhat controlling information.
Hmm. Of
So
course.
you know, such that kind of uh, I've never heard such kind of thing in mass media. uh, so probably it could be companies who gain a profit from maybe such mass consumption things. Maybe don't want media to release such information so much.
Yeah. Well, I think that's anywhere and everywhere. If a big company says, don't do this, and I'm paying you not to say this.
Mhm.
Just nowadays with the whole milk situation, everyone said in the 50s and 60s, oh, drink milk, it's good for your bones. When you come to realize that cow's milk, actually shouldn't be consumed by humans because of the hormones and things, uh, and we're the only mammals that drink milk after we're babies. So there's a
Mhm.
lot of things that like the world tells you, and like you're just gonna believe it. So
Mhm.
I mean, what other choice do you have until you get like some other opinions, until you test it? So it's just, I mean, the world is all about selling and selling goods and making money. And, who told you that eating French fries was bad until recently, in the past like 20 years? You didn't know that. It tastes good, so you're going to eat it.
So maybe everything in moderation attitude.
Yes.
Or such lifestyle is the best, I think.
That's exactly how I feel. And again, I think I've mentioned before too that like one of the girls that I know who I went to school with, she's been drinking soy milk since she was 15. She's in her 30s now. She got cancer because of the soy, overproduced her hormones. And so you think you're doing something good because she's lactose intolerant, so she has to find a different way to do something. And then you get cancer because of it. Fantastic. Thanks. So where were those studies years ago? Now these things are coming out. And of course you have to experiment with things, but at the same time, it's risking people's lives.
Also,
and the big businesses don't care.
Exactly. Also in academic world, the reason why, there's no perfect theory actually. So that's why maybe everything is in moderation attitude can protect ourselves. Also, the reason why it happens because the true in the academic congress, if the person say the same thing, it cannot draw people's attention or professor's attention or doctor. I think doctor as well. In order to, how can I say, gain their research, how can I say it, kind of reward or budget or reputation as a researcher, they need to offer our, such theory. They are challenge pre-existing theory. That's why a lot of different theories or this series denied out for this series comes and that things happen. But the positive sense about that, in such way, research can be developed. Kind of dilemma. But ordinary people just believe one theory only. Maybe such kind of thing. I think it's dangerous.
Exactly. I think we all need to be open-minded to different things and changes, because as the world is changing, it's not looking good. It's not positive. So, I think we need to look for alternatives, and like yesterday, that meaning that we need to do it now as soon as possible. Also, that goes back to even just recycling, throwing things in the correct bin and trying to help out the world as much as possible. I know I did a class about no waste. We watched a video on YouTube, and there was a girl who basically didn't have any garbage or anything that, she had like a little jar of something that was her garbage for like the last 2 years. And that's a little extreme for me. But, in general, when I go to the supermarket or something and I buy lettuce, well, the lettuce comes in like a plastic tray. Then I have the romaine lettuce things, and then it comes in a plastic bag. And I think, why does it even need that tray? Like, it doesn't. So it's extra plastic that is being produced that doesn't need to be produced. And there's no real use for it. It's not, the structure isn't very good to hold different things. It's not very sturdy. It's not durable. And so I can't reuse it for something else. All I do is I throw it in the recycling. So, there's so many things that are happening that I think the world could just be a little bit better at it, do life a little bit better. Well, let's take a look at another one of my slides. That was the ocean one. Oops. I don't know what I just did. I hit something. So shrinking glaciers. What's the word shrinking mean, Ken?
Shrinking is to make it smaller, making it something smaller.
Exactly.
or getting something smaller.
Yep, it's shrinking, it's getting smaller itself because it's so hot. And so here we're talking about the glaciers in the Alps, the Himalayas, Andes, Rockies, and Alaska and Africa, it says, are retreating or getting smaller. Sorry, I can't even read that on the board over there. So yeah, I mean, so if those are shrinking, the sea level is also rising, which you mentioned earlier. It's not good. Like it's just, I mean, it's just terrible what's happening. And some people don't care.
Mm.
And then, we have like 50-50 of everything. We have those who that care a lot, that are over passionate maybe about something. And then we have those who are like, whatever, it's fine. And it's just
Yeah.
completely scary what the world could come to because of, everything we're doing.
Yeah, human never ever faced this kind of situation before. So
Mm-hmm.
result, the result is pretty unpredictable or very predictable like that. It's scary.
Well, eventually, I think, I don't think there's going to be a huge explosion or anything, but something's just going to it's going to be unbearable. Like I said, the whole Arizona situation, like maybe those people will have to move temporarily throughout the year, go to somewhere else. Or I don't know, it's just in Louisiana, New Orleans, that's the word.
Mm.
New Orleans is below sea level, and so when Hurricane Katrina hit, that was devastating because they literally were under the sea. They're the sea's up here, and this is where their land is. I think Amsterdam is the same.
Yes, that's why yeah, Holland is more a lot of land in Holland is kind of reclaimed land. I I hope I guess. So also some Japanese uh, large city, also yeah, Japanese cities as well, coastal cities as well, because land itself is not so large. Also a lot of mountain. 70% of Japanese land is mountains and hills, so they tend to enlarge the land, you know, to hike to reclaim the land is the proper word. Reclaim land. The soil yeah, bring to the ocean and ocean become land. Kind
Okay,
of.
sure. Yeah, I know what you mean. So, like, for example, in what is it called? Saudi Arabia, Dubai. They have like these forms. It's like a flower. I don't know, some plant, and
Right.
it's all man-made. And so they've just put sand kind of out there from the deserts around to make this land. And so that could be an
Right.
option that we're gonna have to do. But
But
like you said,
usually,
mhm.
sorry, go ahead.
No, 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 go ahead, go ahead.
Usually it's very difficult to to mash up high land, so it's actually low land or maybe lower than sea level. Also, it's vulnerable for earthquake. If the earthquake happens, such land collapse easily. It's called liquid
Yeah.
something.
Liquid?
Yeah, liquidization of the land itself, a lot of water, like a fountain. After the earthquake, a lot of water, you know, came out from the ground. That's yeah, liquidization or something in Japanese, but I'm sure in English.
Well, you're talking about something I've never heard of before. Um, but I would like to mention the last part that I have here for us today are extreme events, which this is something that we've seen a lot. So record high temperatures in the US and record low temperatures, have been happening since 1950. Also the number of tornadoes, hurricanes, rainfall, have been increased dramatically. I have this on the mirror image, so I see this backwards actually. You see this correctly, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
And my little tornado here isn't very good, but so that's it for my kind of presentation. So a little better than nothing today, but I mean, there was how many hurricanes this past year? And also, I think part of it is the news coverage that we see the news on a regular basis now. We know what happened, and we know what happens in China, here in Spain in 2 minutes, for example. So it's
Right.
real time as well. So I think that definitely has an influence on how much knowledge we have about the tragic events that are happening all over the world.
Right.
But yeah, what do you think about this? Do you think there's more happening?
In my feeling, yes, because in this area, when I was a kid, summer is not hot like current summer. Also, winter, some winter is cold, some winter is not so cold. I'm not sure about the winter time here, but summer definitely is getting hotter in my feeling. And actually, when I was a kid, highest temperature in summer is 70 Celsius. No, sorry, not 30 Celsius, 30, 30 Celsius or so. So if the temperature rose 30 Celsius, I thought, oh, wow, it's too hot. It happens several days in summertime, but nowadays over 30 Celsius is common every day in summertime, and 37.5 temperature was the highest.
Really?
Yeah, several years ago it happened here. So I, I I've never experienced such high temperature before in my life.
And that's what's happening all over. I mean, even here we had over 40 degrees Celsius. And in the winter I'm not gonna say it's one of the coldest areas, but it's really cold because we're in the mountains. And so if it got that hot here, you can only imagine. In Seville, which is about an hour and a half from here, it's one of the hottest. I don't know if it's one of the hottest in Spain, but at least in the south of Spain, it's super hot there. It's miserable. And I don't understand how people can live like that. It's not comfortable for anybody, to sleep, to do anything.
Also, yeah, more extreme weather pattern like more hurricane or more extensive, intensive rain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, such things I think is happening in my feeling.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And, again, it goes both ways. This year, last year, I should say, there was a huge drought in Spain. I mean, they were saying on the news that some cities had enough water for the next 100 days, but after that, they literally didn't know what they were going to do. If you think,
But,
we only have enough water for 100 days for people in this population, in this area, and there's
actually,
nothing left.
I've experienced drought before. It
Really?
was very rare phenomenon. This usually Japan is not so dry as so humid, but that year is strange. So serious drought happened. So maybe using tap water is limited. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
the worst time only 3 hours we can use water from the tap. So we need to, how can I say, keep the water in the bathtub or
Yep.
big bucket. And the problem is that people living in high floors in an apartment. So because water came up there from the pressure, but if it is not enough water power is not strong enough to rise up. So they need to rely on the car, uh, bring bring water. Also, maybe they need to bring that
Mm-hmm.
water by foot on foot. That's hard work. It's very also sorry, dirty kind of toilet. It's the
Yeah,
problem. Bathroom is a problem. Yeah.
I'm sure. It's not just one thing. And then you said, drought causes people to go in their cars, which causes more pollution, which is affecting the earth and the climate change. It's just a vicious cycle that just continues and continues. Um, there's lots of different problems with other things too, every day, and it's not getting better. And so I just don't know what's going to happen in the next, let's say, 10, 20 years, when we're still continuing and like the next generation comes. So they're saying that the millennials are not doing anything, so like the teenagers nowadays, but the next generation, apparently they're going to be doing a lot of different things for us. I'm hoping it doesn't take that long. I hope that my generation or our generation can really focus on this and figure some things out, because we're there. Electric cars are coming out, like we mentioned before. I think France said by like 2020 something that they're going to have only electric cars, for example. France did something the other day too. The extra food at the supermarkets, France is making them give it to the homeless shelters or something like that. So France is really actually on the ball with some of this stuff, and I think maybe that's why I don't want to say that they're in charge, but when Trump backed out of the global climate change thing, it was something about France. I don't know. I don't watch the news a lot, but I know that France was in that title, so maybe they're ahead of it. Maybe they're going for it and trying to help us, because if we don't do it now, no one's going to be around to do it later.
Right.
So, quite scary. Any other questions or comments about things? I mean, what can we do? What are things on a regular basis that we can do to help save the world?
I think maybe to change, to stop for that, fundamentally, what we can do is maybe to rethink our lifestyle. Also, yeah, collecting garbage, or not using plastic things so much. Also, mass consumption thing. It's create modern so-called civilization, but every civilization has its own problem, and in the end, it collapses because of that reason. So it could be this problem. It could be the one trigger of kind of collapse of modern civilization. So
Exactly. And as you said, for example, plastic bags. I know here in Spain, to help reduce the use of the plastic bags, you have to pay for them. So when you go to the supermarket, you pay 5 cents for each bag. I know in some countries in Africa, they've actually banned the use of plastic bags, and so it's kind of like a fabric, but it's very light that they use. So that's something that we could do as well. There's so many things, and just reusing plastic bags that you have at home. It says, even here on the bags, it says reuse me 15 times or up to 15 times. So, it's still good for that kind of stuff. It's, even if you're using plastic, try and reuse it. I know Tupperware and things like that you put your food in, you can reuse those, so that's okay. The problem is when they break and you throw them away, you must recycle them. So hopefully everyone can kind of become a little bit more aware of what's going on in the world, so we can help do things. Like, I'm not a perfect recycler, but I try, When people don't recycle, it's terrible, because my parents recycled, now I recycle. And those that don't these days, I'm just like, are you serious? What year are you living in? So.
Oh, and also, nowadays using paper is reducing because of the this kind of a computer thing. A lot of them preserved on the server or the computer. Also, it's somewhat helpful to help to release O2 from Amazon from trees.
Exactly. Well, it used to be Amazon, and I was thinking, well, Amazon,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
sell things. But I was thinking about that. It goes two ways. For example, I remember years and years and years ago when email first started, so they stopped using paper as much. The post offices would raise their price for the stamp because they didn't have as much use, but there were still some things that you had to send. Well, now I actually think the post offices and like what are they called? The companies that send packages, the couriers or something. I can't even remember the word. But this companies that send, or that's their business, are really increasing. And so maybe the stamp is still high, but at the same time, they're getting business. They're getting business in a different way because it's not just online sending emails and things or bills to your house, but
right.
we're actually buying online. And so you can basically buy anything online these days.
Also, I mentioned about Amazon is trees. Amazon is
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm
okay,
sorry.
okay, you got it. So
hmm
sorry. Yeah, yeah, but yes, actually, what you said is right. Yes.
Well, and that's the other thing too is that people cut down trees to make the boxes for Amazon,
Um,
which I was going to relate to too, and that's not good. And so, and plus all the emissions and the gas and stuff that is coming from the transport, from the buses and trucks and planes that we're, getting from sending these packages isn't good either. So there's a lot
right,
of things that we could do. There's a lot of things that we could do.
right.
Um,
Actually, maybe to protect the goods, usually that Amazon's package is bigger than very big. Actually, even I buy a small thing, that the package here is they send me a large package, maybe to to stop shock the goods or something, maybe like a cushion.
mhm.
Oh yeah, also yeah, that's the kind of paper consumption as well.
Exactly.
Kind
Well, I
of
think they have X
hope you
amount
get
of
it.
boxes and the sizes. So I think they just, oh, this one works here. Okay, good.
Right.
But I actually reuse. I don't know if this is good or not, but for our guinea pigs, we actually put down some cardboard so it actually can last a little bit longer. So there's some hard floor down there. Um, but yeah, that gets then thrown out. So I don't know if that's the best thing. Maybe I should rethink about that. But in general, yeah, just do as much as you can to help save the world. We're only here once, unfortunately. Any final comments? I'm gonna have to get some more tea because I've got some more teaching to do today.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. No, thank you very much.
okay. Well, hopefully, I can figure something out for next time. And that I'm really disappointed I wasn't able to use my presentation because it was kind of cute. I was happy with it. It looked like a little newspaper kind of. Um, with titles and stuff. And so next time we're going to be working on kind of a more basic topic, the at work and at home daily activities. It's more for lower level students, but obviously everyone's always welcome. Um, and I'm going to send a message to Thomas today to help remind him to put in my classes for March.
Oh, that's
So
nice. No, thank you.
yeah, not a problem. Well, very good. Well, Ken, I hope you have a good day. I'm hoping to get over this illness sometime in the next couple days here.
Yeah. Take care and
Thank you.
yeah, I hope you get well soon. Also, say hi to and say thank you to Thomas.
I will. I will. I definitely will. Well, enjoy what's left of the rest of your day. I can't even think. So have a great day, Ken, and thanks for coming and joining us today.
Yeah, you too.
All
Bye.
right. Bye.